Yodel, yodel, yodel. Iceberg video, part 2, Doomsday. Let's just get right into it. Actually, before we start, I saw all the comments about the sun not exploding. I get it. I'm sorry. The sun is not going to explode. It's going to expand. It's not going to blow up. So y'all can stop saying that, because I get it now. The moon leaving its orbit could mean two things. One, it leaves the opposite direction of Earth, which would then cause a bunch of issues with the access of the Earth and the oceans and stuff. Or it crashes into the Earth, and I'm assuming, not a scientist here, that if the moon were to hit the planet, I think all life would succeed to exist. Ragnarok is the Nordic end times, think like Vikings, where there'll be a great winter and a massive battle of the gods where a lot of the major gods like Odin and Thor die, and then there will be natural disasters and a huge flood that will kind of cleanse the Earth, and then the Earth will be reborn afterward. Cyborg assimilation, if you're familiar with the concept of transhumanism, which is where you're using technology to basically transcend the natural body, whether that's brain implants or like robotic limbs and organs and shit. So imagine we create technology that can do that, or like artificial intelligence and or like beings like robots that kind of just, we all start to bleed together and become cyborgs instead of humans, and then eventually robot AI people. So every sci-fi horror movie ever about robots. Environmental toxins, I think, is pretty probable, I'm not gonna lie. It's where like the carcinogens in the air, the heavy metals and microplastics, the pollutants in the environment are gonna reach a certain point of no return, and then that will slowly make the world we live in toxic, and we won't be able to survive and we'll slowly die off. The Nemesis star is a hypothetical Death Star, for lack of better words, that orbits the sun, hypothetically, or theoretically, I don't really know the difference at this point, that orbits the sun at a very, very large distance. According to this theory, about every 26 million years or so, the sun, or this Death Star, rather, will pass through the Oort cloud, which is a hypothetical dome of ice bodies, is what Google's called it. Frozen asteroids, big rocks, ice chunks that exist in like the outer reaches of our solar system. And in this theory, this Death Star will launch something at Earth, like one of these giant icebergs or asteroids. And then this also, within the framework of this theory, explains other catastrophes that involve asteroids. So maybe like the dinosaurs or the Younger Dryas. I pulled that directly out of my ass. I'm just speculating. This one I'm just going to read because it's got some things in it that I'm having a hard time pronouncing. La Palma mega tsunami is a scientific hypothesis that this volcano on the west flank of Cumbre Veja, I don't know, I'm sorry, will collapse, and during the eruption and collapse of this volcano, it will, again hypothetically, send a ton of rock and debris into the oceans, which then would cause massive tsunamis that would endanger the east coast of the United States. And this, I don't necessarily see this as like a world-ending event, but I could see like a massive event that destroys any side of a country could lead more to a social collapse and then an economic collapse and so on and so forth. I think it's one of those, like, depending on how we respond to it sort of thing. I didn't do a super deep dive, so it could get a lot worse, but that's just like the gist of the idea. An electromagnetic pulse, or an EMP, which could be caused by a solar flare or a high altitude nuclear explosion, would then send electromagnetic radiation across any given area, or if it's a solar flare, like the planet, which would then destroy all electromagnetic devices, all electrical devices actually, and it would theoretically send humanity back to the 1800s. So, you know, like back in the day, sending humanity back to the 1800s, like, I think inevitably would be fine, but I think it would send us back even further because, one, that could damage the whole electromagnetic field around the planet. But if all of a sudden all electrical devices stopped working, just like, it would suck. Like, it would destroy the planet in every way. All the money, all the medical systems, all the damn oil that's way too fucking expensive, everything. I think it would send us back to fucking pre-1800s. Like, I'm talking like, maybe not ooga booga, but like, it would suck. A magnetic field shift or a refers to a geomagnetic reversal of the it would be a shift in the magnetic field of the planet. And this does happen every few 100,000 years or so, but a super fast one, scientists worry that it would weaken our defense against the sun and then cause, if the poles did shift all of a sudden, it could cause extreme issues with the weather and other natural disasters, which then could lead to the end of the world. And if we are unprotected from solar events, just like mentioned in the last topic, it could send could send us back in time because we lose all electricity. God, that was so difficult for no fucking reason. Solidifying core is the idea that the outer core of the planet would solidify, and then that would cause us to lose our magnetosphere. I don't know if you can hear that, but that's my cats again. And the magnetosphere then obviously protects us, as we've discussed in the last few, from the sun, and then the solar winds, if we don't have that, would then slowly start to strip away our atmosphere and covering our planet in extremely lethal radiation, and then we would all die. So, yeah. Mass insanity, think of the movie Bird Box or any kind of like Lovecraftian madness where like it's on that same level where all of humanity just all of a sudden loses their mind, goes insane, and all start to dwindle away into the madness or kill themselves or enter some kind of psychosis, which inevitably leads to the collapse of humanity. I liked the comparison for Bird Box. There's like an entity or something that you see and it makes you go crazy. So think of that, but everyone simultaneously. We are now on to tier 6. Mass suicide is pretty self-explanatory. It touches on the mass hysteria iceberg a little bit that I did a few videos ago, where a social contagion or some kind of ideological contagion starts to spread and everyone just starts to lose hope and kill themselves. And these all end again with the world ending, or at least humanity ending. Demographic meltdown refers to basically population decline. So between the old people of the world dying and the lowering of birth rates, this will inevitably end to, at first, not enough people to sustain the societies and the economies that the world runs on, but also eventually could lead to lowering the population so much that the world as we know it ends. And it actually isn't like a hypothetical thing. Like, I don't think it'll happen on such a massive scale that all humanity is going to die. But there are cases in history where certain populations do start to decline and die off. And this is touched on a little bit in another topic, which I find really interesting, so hold on. Okay, so global dimming, I don't quite understand how this is... I don't quite get this, so if someone understands this, please comment. But in the air from man-made things like aerosol and other particulates are helping cool the Earth by reflecting sunlight and the sun's radiation back into space. And if there was a massive dimming or like cleansing of the air in the atmosphere, the Earth would overheat. I've never heard of a positive to polluting the atmosphere. It hurts my brain. A simulation with an alien race. Think of like when one civilization takes over another one, and eventually the one that was taken over assimilates to the culture and lifestyle and rule of the conquering civilization, but with an alien race and the human race, and we just kind of morph into them, with them over time, where all of humanity is gone. All of the culture, all of the, even on an extreme end, like the biology that makes us human eventually ceases, maybe from like crossbreeding or whatnot. Object from the Kepler belt refers to the Kepler belt, which is a string of asteroids on the outer stretches of our solar system that could potentially threaten life on Earth by launching something through certain circumstances, such as a massive asteroid that could end life on planet Earth. Antinatalism, I've never heard of this, and I thought this was kind of an interesting topic. It's the idea that procreation is bad and that humanity starts to all accept this idea and just kind of gracefully let themselves go extinct, and we just stop having kids. We just stop producing. The moon gets destroyed. That'd be horrible. I mean, imagine half a planet crashing into Earth. That's it. Done. I don't know how to pronounce this one, but it is a doomsday cult from Japan that believed a nuclear World War III was inevitable and it would end the world. And they actually tried to speed it up by releasing deadly gas in a subway system in Tokyo in 1995. Big ol' hurricane. That's it. Earth changes, in my opinion, is kind of dumb. It basically is the idea that eventually there's going to be a lot of major shifts in different aspects of the planet that are going to reshape the world. Kind of lame. We are on to Tier 7. Kinetic orbital strike, or also known as the rods of God, is the idea that from almost space or from space, giant cylindrical tubes of metal, concrete, doesn't matter, are going to be dropped, and it's going to hit the Earth at such a massive speed that it would be like a nuclear bomb going off, just without the radiation. And this is kind of like, you know, how nuclear bombs could end the world with just, you know, blowing it all up and stuff. Think that, just with giant, massive rods. Big peepee hit the Earth, done. Fat cock striking the planet, big boom. GM crops refers to the genetic modification of plants, so food, and the idea is that it'll eventually get so bad that food isn't edible anymore, and there's no reverting back to real food, and that kills us all. And you can kind of see this with, I came across like these different TikTok clips of like bread being super spongy and like Hershey bars not being real and stuff like that. So we kind of already see it. I mean, a lot of people already don't want to eat organic food because it doesn't look nice. The Y chromosome extinction, I was kind of mentioning this a little bit earlier with like population decline and all that. There is this idea, well, it's not really an idea, it is happening, that the Y chromosome is shrinking and has been shrinking over the last few million years. And unless science intervenes and it stays on this path, we could see like a massive decline in the Y chromosome, which obviously then that's what makes dudes. You need, in order to have, you know, it makes dudes. So, that'd be bad. Now, obviously, this would take place over millions of years, but let's say something happens and it speeds up that process with all the carcinogens and all like the polluting of the planet and our bodies and the food. It could lead to an amplification of that. I'm just theory crafting at this point. Heaven's Gate occultism refers to the Heaven's Gate cult. that believed that they had to shed their bodies when the Halley Comet passed by. If their beliefs were right in the whole world-ending alien UFO type schizoness, then obviously we'd be fucked. But I'll do a video on it eventually to get deeper into that. Cthulhu Armageddon refers to the H.P. Lovecraftian creature Cthulhu, or the old ones, like these old world gods, like that are indifferent to humanity because they're so much bigger in concept and cosmic scale that our existence doesn't matter to them. And even like the comprehension of it, like in all the stories, people go mad. And if that was real, it would then, in this scenario, lead to the fall of man because we'd all go crazy and start dying and all that. Giant molecular clouds refers to these giant gas clouds in the solar or the gas stations in the galaxy universe, wherever in space. And if we were to pass through one, it would kind of suffocate the solar system and throw us into a massive ice age by blocking out much of the sun, potentially destroying and or damaging our atmosphere, and things of that nature. Space seems to be a pretty common theme. Space is so unknown, and I don't think humanity really takes it that seriously because we've never had to experience it. But there are asteroids in our solar system that could absolutely wipe us out, and nobody really gives a fuck about it. But it is scary because there's so much unknown out there. Blacked up polar caps. This is kind of a confusing concept, but basically some kind of soot or ash eventually covering the planet, specifically the ice caps, leads to a heating of the ice caps, since it would conduct heat, heating the air around, or the atmosphere around the ice caps. I don't know why I'm struggling. The melting of all those ice caps would then flood the planet. And I guess with the rise of greenhouse gases and the pollutants and things like that, it could get to that point eventually. So I guess that's kind of interesting to think about. Now, it's like, given like the aerosol one that we talked about earlier, there has to be like a balance between like reflecting the sun's light back so we don't overheat, but not having too much pollutants so that we don't die. That's got to be a thing, I guess. I also heard that we are in an ice age right now. Like, we're still in one technically. So if we leave the ice age, then the sea levels will go up, which would then flood parts of the planet as well. Gliese 710, apologies if I didn't say that correctly, is a star that's headed on a collision course with our solar system. This kind of ties into the Nemesis star that we talked about earlier. And if the solar system gets hit by another star, can't imagine that's really that good for living, since firebomb explosion it's self-explanatory. Blood moon prophecies refers to Christianity, and in the Bible there's this concept that there will be a series of eclipses and lunar events that lead to the end times and God returning. Okay, so this one's a little crazy, so bear with me. I gotta kind of like read this off. So quantum vacuum collapse / chain reaction and false vacuum decay, from my research, are pretty much the same thing. And then this is on the list twice. I don't understand the difference between those two entries. It's a little hard to explain, in that our universe exists in a false state of stability. And if a quote-unquote bubble of lower energy state formed somewhere, anywhere, it would expand the speed of light and basically change all of physics. I have no fucking clue what any of that means, but that's what Google said when I was looking into it, so please don't come at me. I'm not a scientist. That is so above my pay grade. if the world's gonna end that way, the world's gonna end. Like, I don't know what that means. A Vernay shot. A massive volcano launches a piece of Earth off of Earth, and then that Earth comes back down to Earth and destroys Earth. Kind of like an asteroid impact, but I also feel like if a volcano erupts so much that it launches a part of the planet into the atmosphere that's big enough to destroy Earth, I think the actual explosion of the volcano probably is enough to disrupt life. Let us be honest. Could you imagine, like, there's like a delay on that? Like, oh, Yellowstone exploded and half the United States is currently flying through the ozone layer. It'll collapse in, 4 hours. It'll hit the planet and we'll all die. But you're like in like Beijing or something, watching it happen. You're just kind of like, huh. Half of America's in the sky right now. Lovely. Eternal hibernation ties into the heat death of the universe, where the universe becomes so cold that even consciousness kind of enters this state of unchanging frozen time because of how cold it is, that I'm assuming time itself freezes and we're all just kind of like, I don't know if that's actually possible, but I'm assuming it's like a theoretical thing. Side note, I recently read this book called Heads. It's like a novella, kind of touches on that topic a little bit. They're trying to find like the zeroth state of matter, and they kind of touch on like that whole thing. Super cool. It's a bit of it's an older book. If you could find it, I'll throw a picture up, but it's super cool. It's a little hard to read, but it's pretty cool. The cobalt bomb is basically, think massive nuclear bomb that is designed to give out as much radioactive material as humanly possible. Mutual assured destruction, or MAD, think I'm gonna bomb you with my nuclear bombs. Well, that means I'm gonna bomb you with my nuclear bombs, and all of my citizens are gonna die because my dick is small, and I wanna blow this up because I have a big ego. We are on to tier 9. The big crumble is kind of like the big rip, and I'm gonna kind of explain it in a weird way. So it's just like a theoretical, hypothetical situation. It's not really that real, but it can refer to one of two things. One, all of society, basically every function on planet Earth starts to collapse and everything dies. So think that, but on a universal scale, that like the laws of physics start to fall in on itself. The universe expands to a certain point where everything starts to fall in and fragment and just crumble in on itself. So it's kind of like the underlining fabric of all things just start to give out and just follow in on itself, from my understanding. So Ice 9 type transition refers to a fictional idea of Ice 9, which is like an alternative water that is frozen at room temperature, and that when it touches liquid water, it immediately turns it into Ice 9. So the idea is that something like that is created or found and then is exposed to our liquid water, which we need to live, obviously, and then all of the oceans and water on the planet become this Ice 9, and obviously living without water is not a thing. The book that it's from is called The Cat's Cradle by Kurt Vonnegut. It's getting hot in here. I wanna eat a quesadilla. It's actually getting so fucking hot in here, dude. Oh my god. I'm looking up how to pronounce something, and this video that's gonna tell me how to pronounce it is like a minute 5 seconds long, and there's a 30-second ad on it. This is what's gonna cause the end of the world. It's fucking capitalism, dude. Let me watch the video for a minute without trying to sell me something stupid. Anoxic event refers to all oceans become deplete of oxygen. This is tied to volcanic activity and historically has led to massive extinction events on planet Earth. Now, obviously, if this has happened in the past, then we survived it, like life had survived it, but think of that on like a massive, massive scale. Everything that... A lot of these also seem to be like past... A lot of these seem to be like things that happened in the past, like asteroids or ice ages or whatever. You have to think about them in like a ending of life kind of way. This video is so sad. I gotta not do stuff like this. ZK class reality failure refers to the SCP Foundation, and this is kind of like one of the many world reality ending events within that like universe. For those who don't know, SAP Foundation, I don't really know how to explain it. I'll put like a brief explanation up on screen, but super cool rabbit hole. Would love to do videos on it. I probably will eventually, but it's this idea that all of reality just starts to cease. Everything stops, basically. Kalki, reincarnation of Vishnu, is the Hindu end times of this cycle. So at the end of Kali Yuga, which is what we're in now, time is divided up into like sections within this framework. And at the end, God will come back as the final avatar named Kalki on a white horse with a flaming sword, which is kind of badass, and strike down all evil and to basically restart the golden age of existence. We are on to Tier 10. Tier 10 only has 2 entries and Tier 11 only has 1, so we're flying through these last few. The Zoroastrianic Jainic prophecies, is basically the end times for Zoroastrianism, where it's the final battle between good and evil, where the earth is cleansed by molten metal, and then after the eradication of all evil, the world will be resurrected as a perfect world. Total existence failure is, think simulation, kind of, is the best way I can explain it, is just turned off. But so another way to look at it is like the universe is existing in blinks, and it just kind of is, and then it just kind of is it at any given time, and that all of a sudden the universe could just blink and then nothing exists, and then blink again. It could have happened right then, like if all of us don't exist just for that half a second, like if I didn't exist, I wouldn't even perceive that I don't exist. So if we all stopped existing all at once and then restarted at this exact time, we'd have no idea. But it kind of leads to the end times, but if you believe in not the end times, but if you believe in infinite time, eventually we would kind of blink back into this exact moment. So infinite amount of time could have just passed where nothing existed, but we would never know because we couldn't conceive of it. It's like a big cycle. Tier 11, final tier, final topic, the 9 billion names of God. This is a fictional idea in the book by Arthur Clarke by the same name, where Tibetan monks use a computer to calculate all 9 billion names of God, which is what the whole universe's point is. And when they finish that, God will then end the universe. So, with that to be said, that is the final entry on the iceberg. Now, obviously the world could end in so many ways. You could have a giant shoe cabinet fall out of the sky just because and destroy the planet. There are so many other ways that you could think of the end. Anything, I guess. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I will do more icebergs in the future. I think some of these topics I'm going to go a little deeper dive on in future videos, though. And if there are any topics that you want me to cover or other icebergs that you'd like to see, leave them in the comments. I do have a TikTok. You can put them there as well. So that's pretty yeet, pretty yonkers, pretty bus. I'm sorry. I don't know. It's been a really long day and I'm really tired. So I don't think the world is going to end anytime soon. At least, hopefully. I know the world is pretty shitty right now, but I think it'll be fine in the end. It'll be hard, but I think it'll be okay. And I don't think that the sun's gonna wipe us out anytime soon or any crazy thing like that. So with that, I hope y'all have a great rest of your day, and I really appreciate you guys watching. And if you could like and or subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one.